Hello, everyone. Yep, don't switch. How are y'all? Hmm. Okay, Cage Fighters just opened. Ah, my kneecap, man. I guess, so last time we have changed our networking module and made it like run better. I think, yeah, basically we just changed the network module from ByteNet to just Packet, and Packet is way better. Oh, hi Parvin, welcome to the stream. How are you? Damn, what's that emoji? Huh? Wait, I think wait. Shit, not my file explorer. Yeah, I'm right now thinking what to add. I think so far everything's nice. Maybe we can go for more networking optimizations first, like this. I don't know what the hell the server might be doing. This is the faint logic. Okay, that's something. Then client timestamp, then this timestamp. Player stamina. I think changing the player stamina logic is much more better. Like it should regen like little by little instead of like regening fully. Even the block duration should also like, I think it doesn't really need to increase or something. I guess we can keep that aside. I don't know so far what to do though. I guess I would like to do some testing since we have made everything work. But I don't know who's gonna join. It's just kind of chill though. Okay, let me open my Trello. this isn't done. Yeah, I guess. Hmm. I guess it's about the match logic I don't like. It's really, really bad. Poorly coded, actually. It's really poorly coded. What's this oop logic? I don't know what I did with this shit. This looks terrible, honestly. This is terrible, I would say. Probably the worst logic I've written. I guess I'm gonna redo that thing. I kinda don't wanna redo it, man. It's that bad I have to initialize it here. That's crazy. Look, what the hell is this? Huh? Come on, man. This ain't cool. Match. Match. Logic. What the hell is this? Actually, I'll just recode it. Fuck it, man. Fuck it. So, how my logic should start? I think it would just be zone 1, then zone 2. And I guess I'm gonna try like looking at ring logic or something. I don't know. I don't have a really good architectural idea for this. Uh, I mean, most of the Roblox systems are really bad, poorly made. Like, really poorly made. Any, like, could you. Okay. Are you doing good? I got some work. See you later. Yeah, sure, man. I'm just looking at something. Arch on Roblox. What the fuck? Um, object oriented. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like poop these days, though. Maybe it's just more preference related. I don't know. I don't really have a good idea of making a round system. I know it's one of the simplest things, but I think I'm kind of dumbfounded now. Like, what's the architecture behind it? Yep, this is pretty simple. Okay, most of the time it's just this. Yeah, honestly, I would put that same too. Then enough players. I would say you don't need a function for this. You don't need a function. How about we start reviewing code? I think I'll start getting a good idea. Look, so he he initializes his new round intermission. That yeah, that's a good starting way of doing things though. Then when a player is added, he I don't know how what type of round system he has. Like if a player I don't know if it's like a yeah. Okay, new round initiate. Okay, it initiates the player. Oh, so enough players is round. Ah, it's preventing already whether the player should enter or not. That's something. That's a little bit smart, no? Like, like little smart logic. And a while true do loop. Yeah, a while true do loop is nice, but until you stop using wait, it's gonna be cooked, man. Like seriously, you're gonna be cooked with that. Hmm. I think yeah, remote events. Yeah, much more natural extensions and stuff. Status remote event equal replic. This. Yep. Okay, on status remote event. Yeah. So this is just he's using functions for remote events. I mean that's also a good way to do it. Yeah, I don't think about like using normal functions. I think those are a good idea, but it fairly depends. Like, yeah, I can actually use a function here. Like, it could be just local function character. You can trick us. We know you made that post to praise yourself. What? What are you saying, man? Nah, bro, that doesn't really make sense. Truly doesn't make sense. Nah, actually, it's that's not a good way to do it. Yeah, this is the whole character added logic. I guess, yeah, huh. Okay, okay, I guess. Yeah, I guess, no, I don't think that's gonna truly work. Yeah, then, yo, Sulex, welcome to the stream. Yeah, um, I guess, going, not player added, I would say it would be, shit, player added function. I think that would be like this. Yeah, this is the player removing function. Yep. Now we can just add this so that whatever we are gonna be putting, it's gonna be good, you know. Like so that we can just disconnect some functions we were using. Where you from? I'm from India. You? Okay. Uh, we already got the setup. We got humanoid. I think I can just make it a table and just use the same thing. I swear I've seen one of your videos before. Don't remember the. Oh, really? uh, I don't know how to react to that, honestly. Bro, you're from Mongolia? Crazy. Okay, hmm. You know, the stream is gonna be peak when they are Indians. Really? Why? Why do you think so? Hmm. Okay. I would say it's a nice logic, but it's more. I don't like this really. Like, I don't really like this. It's pretty basic. I mean, it's meant to be for simple usage. I mean, it's still nice to look at the more beginner-like codes because sometimes you miss some practice. Like, hell yeah, Indians always give the best coding tutorials and lessons. Really? I mean, that's kind of stereotyping, I would say. Honestly, you should look at like beginner level code also. You can like find some stuff you might be missing yourself and stuff and you can find mistakes that you can like uh keep in mind later on. So I would say it's a really nice logic, I would say. It's really nice. So it has a Server and a client logic for this. I kind of like that. Yeah, for example, for the player added logic, I didn't thought of using a function. I just right now used it. Yeah, it's much more neater than before. I should actually stop using object values and all that kind of crap. Instead, I can use something else. I need to change the round system really badly for sure. It's really, really bad code. Like, genuinely bad, like I made 1 year ago. I think it was one of my worst systems though. Hmm. Oh, I actually deleted one of them. Actually, I should keep the code so that whenever I publish, I don't accidentally like turn off the rounds and stuff. Like, okay, a round system with hoop is nice, but I think I just want to see more proper implementations of it. Okay, I don't like this. I don't like this. Really. What the hell is this? Why do we have a round dot intermission time? That doesn't make sense. You can just put a parameter and that's it. See, I would not recommend using hoop. It will just make it harder for you to understand and overcomplicate things for no reason. I mean, I think it's a little bit of a bad advice. It's bet, it's better that he tries to use OOP and learn from those mistakes. I mean, sure, it's kind of unbearable to look at this thing though. Yeah, because he didn't add the meta table. Oh yeah, I should actually learn meta tables again. Um, for 6 months I didn't code and I'm kind of fuzzy right now. Yep, he gave a good logic here. That's nice. That's a genuinely good. This is a genuinely good logic, I would say. I mean, countdown. Yeah, countdown is nice. I'm gonna start reviewing code more. Guys, do you have your own code so that I can look into it and then give some critique? What do you all think? I can do that. Okay, let me look at this guy's code first. I mean, let me know in the chat. I'm just gonna be looking at code. Okay, what do you mean by advanced round system? I would like to see what you're making, bro. Okay. Let's. Oh my God, this is gonna be really bad. No, this is gonna be really bad. I'm gonna tell you guys. Do not write your code like this. Ew, it's just disgusting. Like, seriously. Don't make your variable names like this. This is the really worst practice ever. Like, genuinely, it's so bad. That's why you can't really, like, Look at most people's code, like it's annoying. Like I think I'm gonna look at more Slitnik on Roblox. I don't know. Where the fuck is his channel now? Oh yeah, Slitnik. Bro removed his channel or something? No fucking way. Why? Why did he remove his channel? Crazy stuff. I think I'm gonna watch Sufi like he has really good code now. Like he has really good code. I would just say that. I mean, I'm pretty much kind of sucking right now in Roblox coding. I just need to learn. I think this stream is gonna be more of my learning process of how I'm gonna be doing this. I think how I'm gonna be learning, you know. Okay, I know most of the stuff. Yeah, meta tables I think I'm gonna learn right now, guys. I haven't like learned them in a while.
Hey guys and girls, so in today's video we're going to be talking about meta tables, and we're going to go through some of the meta methods, and once you've learned one meta method it's pretty easy to understand the other ones, and we're going
Yeah.
to use this information to create our own vector2 data type. So let's
Um,
first create a table.
Wait, that's interesting. Making your own data type with vector, I mean meta tables. That's interesting.
And let's set a meta table to this table. Now I'm going to demonstrate the index meta method. So if I create a loop for I equals 1 to 5 do,
Hmm.
and if I print my table using the I value as a key, and I run the game, we can see it prints nil 5 times. And if I now set the second key to equal hello and run the game once again, we can now see it says nil, hello, and then nil a further 3 more times. Now to make the output a bit more easier to read, I'm going to print some dashes like so, and I'm now going to add the meta method index. So
Hmm. Okay.
like this, and this function is going to give us the table and the key.
Table and key.
And what I'm going to do is inside of this function I'm going to say print
Meta tables on Roblox documentation. Meta tables allowed tables to become more powerful than before. That adds to data and contain values called methods. Methods are fired when a certain action is used with the datum. What is a datum? A single piece of information, fact or statistic. Okay. Is the singular form of word data. Oh, datum is just like one single data. Oh, wait. So to manipulate meta tables, they're like set meta table and get meta table. we set a table, we set a table, then we have a meta table. Give X a meta table called meta table. Okay, okay. Yeah, meta tables are tables too because it's a meta layer. Like, metadata, guys. Like, something related to that for sure. Is the set meta table function also returns the table that you are setting the table of. Uh, so these two scripts do the same thing. That's something. Yeah, when I look at this code, yeah, this makes more sense. Meta methods are the functions that are stored inside a meta table. They can go from calling a table to adding a table to even dividing tables as well. Oh, it fires per action, I assume. Meta tables aren't hard to understand, honestly, I would say. Oh, making a vector 2 data type? Oh, that's interesting. Wait, is it like operator overloading from C++? plus plus? No way. I don't know if you the guys who know C++ plus plus know this better than me. That's something. Wow. Okay, first fires when table index is indexed. If table index is nil, can also be set to a table, in which uh, case that table will be indexed. Yeah.
function called. And if I run the game now, we can see that for the values of nil, the function is called, but for the value of hello, the function was not called. Now it's possible to return a value back to whoever requested this key from the table. So instead of printing nil, it can
Oh.
print any value we want. So for instance, I can say return key to the power of 2, and if I play the game, we can see that function is called, and it prints 1, then it prints hello, then the function is called again, and it prints 9 and 16, and then 28.
Oh. The key is the index.
Now if I print the table
Okay.
and we run the game once again, we can see that even though it's printing these numbers do not exist inside of the table. And
Wait. Uh, what? Just use what? Okay. Let a table define behavior for operations. Lua doesn't natively know how to handle on it. Practically on Roblox. This boils down to a few real uses. Fallback lookup, the actual workhorse when you index a table and key is missing. Lua checks the meta table. Oh, that makes sense. If they're like missing stuff, invalid uh access, prevent the silent nil bug where indexing a key. Oh, yeah. I was right. Operator overloading is a thing. It is a thing. Weak tables we can use for cache, last instance registration that shouldn't prevent garbage collection. Ooh, weak tables, yeah, those exist, yeah.
And if I loop from 1 to 5, we can see that the first time it loops, it calls the function. And if we look inside the table, we can see that the values have been added. And the second time we loop through the table, it no longer calls the function and just prints the values out instantly. Instead of using a function for the index meta method, we can also use a table. So to do this, I'm going to delete these lines here, and I'm going to make a new table at the very top called local index table equals
Index
this,
table. Okay.
and I'm going to delete this function and set the index to the index table. So what's going to happen now is when we attempt to print the value from my table, if the value is equal to nil, it's going to move on to the second table.
Oh, is that so? Yeah, for OOP. Let's kind of break down what OOP does. Like, yeah, for the simple round system, when we look back at this function, mm, yeah, this itself is a meta table. Yep, self, we just set up a new table with round. The round is itself a meta table, I would say.
And print whatever's in this table. So if I add key 2 equals 5, and if I also add another key to key 4 to equal by, and we'll call this by 1 and by 2, and if I run the game, now see that it prints nil, then it prints hello, then it prints nil again, and it prints by 2, and then nil. So even though we set
Oh,
by 1 to key 2, because this table already has a key 2, this takes priority over this table. Now,
oh, you really love meta tables? That's amazing. Hey, Penguin, welcome to the stream. Right now, I'm like deeply learning meta tables now. I really wanna get to know like how it genuinely works in OOP logic. I mean, what the hell? Yeah, I mean, what do I say? We know that we can use this OOP and stuff, right? Like, we just use the OOP syntax and stuff, but never learn it much more deeply, right? That's the thing I'm looking at right now.
I'm going to show you the call meta method.
Hello?
So I'm going
Are you able to hear me? I think my voice is really low. Like, I mean, this is at its max volume, I would say.
my table with a meta table, and I've set the meta table to the table.
Okay.
And now I'm going to add a function to the call meta method, and it passes a table, which is this table
Ah,
here,
that's good.
and then it passes multiple arguments, which is defined by these three dots. We can
Oh, I have a question. How long have you been doing scripting?
convert these three dots to a table by doing this, and I'm storing this
Ah, I
table
see.
in the args variable, and then I'm printing this with the args table, and now I can.
Uh, I mean, for OOP, I really wanna understand much more OOP in depth right now. Like, I don't wanna use it in just how most of the people like use it just like this. I'm just like looking at how you can. Is there like other ways to do it? Like, what are more of the useful cases, you know? So that I'm trying to leverage on that.
Call my table like a function, and I can pass in any values
Okay.
like so. And if I run the game, we can see table called with
A few
args. If
years.
we open the table,
Interesting.
we can see it was called with cake at 23. And the add meta method returns the table and the value that we attempt to add to the table. So the
Yeah,
table,
this is
which
an
you can see was
operator
called with cake
overloading.
at 23. And called with cake meta method returns.
Yeah, like more in depth, Like, I mean, I have used OOP a lot in my code base, but I think sometimes I also misinterpreted like how OOP should be used. So I'm just looking at the real building blocks of why OOP works.
The table and the value that we attempt to
It's a
add
really
to
good
the
way to look
table.
at things,
So
honestly.
if I say my table dot value equals 20, and then I say t dot value plus equals
And this is operator overloading. No way.
v, and if I now print the my table, and then I say my table plus equals 4,
Oh my
and
God,
I
this is operator overloading. No way.
attempt to print my table once again.
In C++, there's a thing called operator overloading. Basically, you make you try to make uh, same kind of function like this, and when you just add it, it's gonna fire this function. So when you use a plus, when you use a like a plus sign or something, it takes this value here, and then I think it adds it here. Yeah, that makes much more sense.
Now, if we run the game, we can see that
Yeah,
the
it's
table
really
first has a
exciting though.
value of 20, and then the table is now equal to nil. And the reason that is happening is
Oh,
because even though we're adding to this table, we're not returning this table back to here, because you can see it's plus equals. So
returning. Oh, that makes sense. You need to return the tables also, like when you do that. Oh, yeah, I see the beauty though.
you need to say
I mean, so far, if I would say meta tables are just another layer of table, I would say. So so basically that meta table itself is looking is itself like it contains functions. Um, Like it contains meta methods. Uh, that okay. If yeah, it does like various methods that tables do use, like calling a table, indexing a table, and all that kind of stuff.
A return t.
Honestly, meta tables are really good, I would say. I think they should be used in cases like more of those nil cases, when your table is nil, like, and you have to add something instead of that. Oh, wait, if a player is missing something, they can have a thing replaced later on. Like, what if they got a dog, but the data got corrupted or something, and then it came as nil. Then we use a meta table. We set it to a default character so that they still have the player experience, but they kind of lost their data.
This, and
Maybe
we play the game
that's
like
not
this.
a good way
And
of
we had
using it.
two tables. The first one had the value equal to 20, and the second one has a value that's equal to 24.
I
Now let's
see.
use what we've learned to create a vector2 data type. So I'm first going to
Vector
create a
to,
function
ooh,
called new,
that's interesting.
and this function is going to require a x and a
Okay.
y value.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to return
Yeah, he
the
uses
table.
functions
So
like
instead
that.
of the table being created here, we're going to create it inside, and we're also going to set the meta table like this inside of the function,
Hmm.
and then we're going to
Oh, this is how OOP works.
return the table. It's also possible to have these two lines written differently. So instead of it being written like this, we can have it written like this.
Yeah, this is more of
And
the
we are
standard
going
way
to
of
store
people
the
do.
x and y value inside
Yeah, this is how OOP really works, I would say.
table. So I'm going to say my table.x equals to x.
Sorry, coding at the same time. This stream is a chill place to do it. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it though. Still. Uh,
And my
this is
table.y
so
equals to y.
damn.
And now let's add the magnitude variable to the table.
Yeah, magnitude variable, I think from coordinate geometry. Hmm. Yeah, we are using the square root. At least, yeah, for the vector dot magnitude to working, like, that distance formula, uh, for vectors, vector magnitude. I think it's like, yep, the distance formula from this. It's gonna use square for that. Like for a 2D space, it's like that. For a 3D space, it's like that.
So I'm going to say my
Hmm. Hmm.
table.magnitude equals math
Yeah.
square root x times x plus y times y. Now let's create our custom vector2.
Uh,
So I'm going to say local
yeah.
vector2 equals new, and I'm going to pass in a x value of
Hmm.
23 and a y value of 36.
Wow.
And I'm going to print the magnitude, so print.
So if I'm gonna look at the mechanism of how this is going, It's set meta table. Then we make a new table and we have a meta table for this. Then okay, we create in a dictionary here. Then we return that table. Okay.
Vector 2.
Oh, it makes sense. It genuinely makes sense. No way.
Dot magnitude.
Oh, it's starting to make sense now. I see. Low assembly, I think. Playground. I'm gonna look at this table. And let's. Oh, oh crap. I would say I'll just make it a vector too. Boom, 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 boom. This is gonna be X number, Y number. Ah, then self dot X. Then we have X value. Self dot Y. We have Y value. Oh, I don't know why I was using commas there. Self dot magnitude. Far more. Yeah, I think X plus Y. Yep. Math dot. Okay. So we are creating a new table first. Then we get up val. Oh, wait. No way. No way. We can, can we do that? Okay. Oh, wait. We can use vector 2 dot. I don't know. Wait, I'll just. Huh. So this is what's happening here. And for this math function, mul, mul. I kind of want to learn how to read this. How do I read this bytecode? Mul is multiply. If I'm gonna, so it's multiplying 2 times. If I do it here, uh, it's still multiplying 2 times. We have add. We are adding the value. Fast call So fast call one, two. I don't know what's fast call one or two. Oh, meta tables now make so much sense.
And if I
Damn.
run the game, we can see it has a magnitude of 42. Now let's create the dot function for the vector 2, but I'm first going to show you the incorrect way of doing the function, and then
Yeah, I know the dot product myself too. I actually know this. I can. I have learned vectors by
I'm going
uh
to tell you why it's incorrect, and then I'm going to be showing you
scalar
the
product.
correct
Yep.
way of doing the function. So let's first create the dot function,
Uh,
and we're going to pass
I
in the
don't like
second
this method
vector
though.
2.
I don't
And
like
now
this.
let's return the dot value. So return, I'm going to say my table dot x times v dot x plus my table dot y times v dot y.
Okay.
Now if I create a second vector
Uh,
2,
maybe
and I'm going to call this one vector A and vector
vector
B,
B.
and I'm going to have this have slightly different
Yeah.
values of 52 and
Huh.
16, and then I'm going to say vector A dot, and I'm going to pass in vector B.
I mean, this is a very doable way to do it also here. Dot dot function. See, that's a doable way. Like, I think it's x, y. I don't know. I think it's this. Then we do x into y. Um, dot product formula. Yeah, it's multiplying it first. Yeah, it's first. Y. Yep, function.
And if we run the game, we can see it has a dot value of 1772. So the way we've created this function is not the most optimal way of creating a function for a
Exactly.
data type. Because if
Okay,
I
the
change
worst
this
way
to
of
this
doing it.
and also print the dot function for b vector and run the game, we can see that the two functions are saved in different locations in memory because these two numbers are not the same. So what this means
Oh, it's memory inefficient.
is every time we create a new vector 2, we're creating a brand new.
That's a really good insight. Yo, what's up, hip hop? How are you? Welcome to the stream. It's I'm having a blast right now. Man, it's just amazing. Just doing things that you wanna do, you know?
Function that's consuming more memory, and if we have
You
thousands
know,
of
learning things much more deeply is so fun, right? You know, like I'm trying to learn meta tables. Now I really understand why OOP really works well and why certain choices are made. And it's so good,
vector
I would
2s
say.
in our game, that's consuming extra single.
Oh yeah, it makes sense. Every time you just call a new call a dot new, it's gonna take it's gonna remake the table two times. Yeah.
Function for all the vector 2's.
Wow.
Recently, Roblox had an update where identical functions will be raw equal. So what that means is if we can make this
Raw
function
equal.
identical for both vector A and vector B, they should both share the same function. And the reason they're not identical is because this function is using the myTable variable from outside of the function, and this variable is different for vector A and vector B.
Wow.
So to make them identical, what I'm going to do is say v1 and v2.
Okay.
And I'm going to get v1, v2, v1, and v2.
Yeah.
So if we run the game,
Oh yeah. Why did I do? Um.
once again,
Think,
now we can see that the two functions have the exact same numbers, so they're both shared in memory. Now to call this function, I'm going to say print, and I'm going to say vector A dot, and with they're both run v1 and v2. So if we do call, what I'm going to do is say v.
wait.
So to make them identical,
Wait. I kind of want to see the explanation again.
optimize.
Oh hi. Yay yay. Change Guru. Welcome to the stream. How are you? I don't know how to pronounce your name. Right now I'm just learning meta tables.
By sharing
Yeah.
a single function for
Mm.
all the vector 2's.
Chan Guru. Bro has an old Roblox client. Nah, this is a video. This is a video.
Roblox had an update where identical functions will be raw equal. So where
Identical functions, objects be raw equal. Okay, identical raw equal. Oh, what's that exactly? I don't know. I have old Roblox clients that work though. Really? Damn. Object identity you have just. Oh, wait.
functions will be.
Really? I can play old Roblox anytime? That's cool. That's cool. I don't know why those Twitch bots always come, but like, I think Twitch is really infested with them. Like,
Raw equal.
it's kind of annoying.
So what that means is if we can make this function identical for both vector A and vector B, they should both share the same function. And the reason they're not.
Wanna get a game idea? Right now I do have a game idea already. I'm executing, so I don't really need one. Oh, nice hip hop.
This function is using the myTable variable
W.
outside of the function, and and this variable is different for vector A and vector B. So to make them identical, what I'm going to do is say v1 and v2, and I'm going to get v1.
This makes sense. Yeah, that's where the self variable comes in. This is basically the self variable. Uh, if you use the semicolon, uh, you can remove this. You can remove this and use V2 only.
V2, v1 and v2. So if we run the game once again,
It's gonna have the same memory.
now we can see that the two functions have the exact same numbers, so they're both shared in memory. Now to call this function, I'm going to say print.
Oh yeah, those are different tables. That's why it's
I'm
happening.
going to say vector A dot, and we're first going to pass in vector 1, which is vector A, and then we're going to pass in the second vector, which is vector B, and if we run the game, you can see that we get the correct dot value. Now, if we look at the dot function for the vector 2 of Roblox data type, we can see that they do not require us to put in two vector 2's in the function and only require us to put in the second vector 2. And the reason for that is, instead of using a dot, they're using a colon.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about. Exactly.
So in Lua, there is a shorthand where if you use a colon instead of a dot, it will put this value here as the first argument into the function. So
See, that's why you should learn meta tables to learn object-oriented programming. If you're gonna learn OOP, you need to learn OOP. I mean, you need to learn meta tables first. It's really valuable. And
to a colon and delete the first value. Now I can run the game and you can see that it's still working and giving us the correct dot value. Lua also has a shorthand for writing functions. So instead of writing the function like this, I could write the function like this.
yeah, that's also a way.
And if I run the game,
Actually, that makes so
you can
much
see that the
sense.
function is still working correctly. Lua also allows us.
Oh, hi. Suzun. Welcome to the stream. What do you do, by the way? No, it's actually, I'm looking at a scripting tutorial. That's why.
Us to change this dot to a colon, so we can change this to this.
Yeah.
And I can
Oh, by the way, what do you do?
remove the first value, and I'm going to rename this to V. And now, instead of using V1, we're going to use the self variable.
Yeah.
And I'm going to change this to V. And if we run the game,
Building, scripting, and etc. How long have you been doing it?
we can now see that the function is still working correctly. I personally do.
Okay, oh, it makes sense why it's memory efficient to use it that way. 2 to 3 years, not bad.
Not like to write my functions this way. The way I would have done it would be to do like this,
Uh,
and I would have this called self, and this called
yeah.
and I would call this self, the self.
This makes so much sense now. It's just the
Before
same
Roblox
function
made this
anyways.
change, you may be wondering how we optimized our functions in our custom data types. So what we would have done was created another table.
Optimize.
Like so. And
Okay.
we would have set this table as the index of this meta table. So
Anyone of you scripting, this is the best way to learn object-oriented programming by learning meta tables by Sufi Keener. I highly recommend this. Highly recommend this. He'll give you the exact mechanism of why OOP works.
like so. And instead of having the function created on every new my table, we would have this function inside of this table over here. My table. Instead of having the function created on every new my table, we would have this function inside of this table over here.
Yeah, that makes sense actually.
Move this over here.
Oh wait, this is a meta table. Then we do this. We put the index vector 2.
Change it to vector 2. And now, when we try to get the...
Oh, the functions are being stored here. Anything the meta table is missing, it's gonna add it. It's gonna add it to this table, I think.
dot function from the vector, it would not find it in my table, but use the meta table, and it would link to this table, and we would use this function, which would be shared between every...
Oh. Oh wait. This is basically a separate table. Oh. This is actually treated as a separate table. The same table is being used as a meta table, and this. Okay, that makes sense.
my table. So if we run the game again, we can see that the dot function is still working correctly.
Oh, that
Another
is so
benefit of
good.
having this function saved in the vector2 table is that now it's impossible for this function to be saved in multiple locations in memory. It's also possible for the meta table to set itself as the index. So instead of having vector2, we could set the index to meta table and move this dot function into the meta table itself. And now we no longer need this table, so we have one less table. And if we run the game once again, we can see that the function is still working. Now let's add the plus operation. So I'm going to add the...
It's gonna be, yeah, for this. Let me try this once. So for this is gonna be, I think, add the okay. Table value t dot value. I think it's a value. Then for value, then return t. I think I'm doing it wrong.
add meta method.
What the fuck I'm doing?
So add equals function table value. So they are dot x t dot
I mean x y.
y plus equals v dot y. And if I print vector b and run the game,
There again, I knew that.
we can see that I forgot to return the t value, and that's why vector a is equal to nil. So let's make sure to return t, like so.
Okay, why does that happen? Do we get into an error? Properties read only? Nah. Nah. Properties read only? I would disagree. Nah. No way. Nah, the machine is disagreeing with me. I can't do anything about it. What? I think that shouldn't be the case, I would say. Let's leave it for now.
And now we can see that the original value of 23 was increased by 52, which is now equal to 75, and the original value of 36 was increased by 16, so it's now 52, and while vector b has had no change done to it and still has the original values. You may also notice that once we've added vector b to vector a, that the magnitude is no longer correct. So we need to update the magnitude. So we can do this by going like this.
Oh.
And we can go like this, and this.
Maybe update
Now,
function.
if we look at Roblox's plus operation, we can see that they return a new vector 2. So to change our add function to work like Roblox's add function, I'm going to delete this and say return new t.x plus v.x. Say add return a new vector 2.
New
So to
vector
change
2.
our add function to work like
Oh, it
Roblox's add
has a
function,
new vector
I'm
2.
going to delete this and say return new t.x plus v.x. And I'm going to do the same for the y values.
Okay.
You can see it can't find the new function because it hasn't been defined, so I'm going to move this new function to be here.
Oh.
And now if we run the game, you can see that the function has worked correctly.
This is the best way to learn.
Magnitude and the correct x and y values. Now let's set up the equal operator. So if I set vector a to 1, 2 and vector b to 1, 2, and if I delete this and say vector
checks.
a equals vector b, and
That should be true.
you can see that it says that vector a is not equal to vector b, even though they both have the same x and y values.
Yeah, it's
And
just
the reason for
different.
this is, even though they have the same x and y value, they're not the same table.
Yeah.
So to make it check the x and y
Different
values
tables.
instead of checking the table, what we're going to do is say meta table underscore eq equals function table value, and I'm going to say if t dot x is not equal to v dot x, then return false. And I'm going to do the same for the y value.
And then
And
true.
finally, if they both are equal, then we're going to
Return true.
return true. So let's test the game once again. And we can see that it's now returning true.
Perfect.
And if I change one of the
That's how
values,
you learn better tables, basically. I really want to learn type
to
checking.
22 and run the game again, now it's returning false. And finally, let's do the toString meta method. So I'm going to say
What do you mean toString?
the value is then in false, but the value, and I'm only going to print the vector A value, and if I run the game, we can see that it now prints like this instead of printing the entire table.
Was a
Thank
cool
you for
stream.
watching my
Good luck
video.
with the
If you
learning.
have any questions,
Thank you
feel free
so
to
much,
leave a
man.
comment down below.
Really appreciate it. This is the best way to learn the OOP, I would say. 100%. Learn object-oriented later on. I need to learn type checking. I'm really behind with these stuff now. Meta tables are the way to learn this. Okay, so far I would say you can use apply the unary minus to tables. Yep, unum method. Concat. I don't know tables like concat and stuff. If there missing values, okay. Yo, you should do Rainbow Man as a challenge. Rainbow Man, what is that? I don't really know though. What is a Rainbow Man actually? Okay, call do much more than supply a missing value. Oh, you can call a table. That's interesting. Oh, no way. Call. Oh. Was a cool stream. Good luck with the learning. Yeah, I already know. You could do him as a NPC that changes body part colors. Oh, I mean, those are some funny additions to do. I find them funny, though, but oh, adding tables. This is funny. This one also a funny one. Like, oh, this is interesting. So, table plus one plus two. So they're merging those tables. I think it's making a new table. Yeah, it's returning a new table. Yep. Oh, this is getting fun, genuinely. Yeah. New index. So this is a different way of doing it, like indexing and stuff. Hmm. Okay, this is also good. Stack Overflow happens. Oh, set values without invoking meta methods. Playing with meta tables, you may run into some problems. If you need to use index meta method to create new values in a table, but that table's method also has a new index method, you will want to use the built-in function raw set to set the value without invoking any meta methods. Take the following code as an example. Okay, I, if there's nothing, I'm gonna multiply. New index, don't set values to the table the normal way. Causes a stack overflow. Stack overflow happens when you try to call a function from itself too many times. Oh, in the index function above. Oh, this is so. Oh my god, I'm too happy. We have queues? Yep, we have a stack. Interesting. We have data structures here. Okay, this one I kind of want to learn why. The why. Okay, so basically, new index. Fires when table index tries to be set, index equal the value. If table index is nil, can also be set to a table, in which case that table will be indexed. Wait, I think I don't need to learn it now. You learning? Yeah, I'm learning stuff. Like, it's really better to learn the mechanism of how the code really works. It's always going to be useful. I mean, now I understand why each choice was made, though. So it's really interesting to see. Let me see, like, Luo types and stuff.
We're going to be taking a look at type checking. There are currently 3 modes for type checking. There is the no check, non-strict, and strict mode.
Guys, I'll be back. Let me have some water.
Currently, the default mode is non-check, but we can make non-strict the default mode by enabling it inside of beta features. So to do this, we can go to File, Beta Features, and if we enable scripts are non-strict by default, then now non-strict will be the default mode, but if we don't enable this beta feature, then the default will be no check. Another way of setting the type checking mode is to create the script, and then we can copy one of the modes to the top of the script. For instance, if we want the script to use no check-in, I can copy this to the top of the script, and now this script is going to be in no check mode.
the script to be in non-strict mode, I can copy this and put it at the top like this. And now this script is going to be in non-strict mode. Let me now try to explain the difference between non-strict mode and strict mode. So if I first create a variable, so if I say local x equals 5, and then if I try to change the type of this variable from a number to a string, so if I say x equals hello, we can see that we get no warnings. But if I change to strict mode, we can now see that we get a warning. If we hover our mouse over the warning, it says type string could not be converted into number. So the reason this is happening is if we place our mouse on top of the x variable, we can see a little pop-up that says number. And that is because when in strict mode, it's going to infer what this variable is by the value we provide. So for instance, if I change this to a string and place my mouse over x again, we can now see it says string instead of number. But if we go back to non-strict mode and we place our mouse on top of x again, now we can see instead of being a string, it's now a type of any. And when it's a type of any, it will no longer produce an error because x can be any type. For instance, if I set x to 5 and we mouse over x, you can still see it's a type of any, and that's why it's no longer producing a warning when we try to change the type to a string. And because the type of x is not going to be inferred on non-strict mode, what we must do is, in order to set the type of x, is to manually manually assign type. And to do this, all we need to do is use a colon, and here we get a list of types, and I'm going to set it to the number type. So now, if we mouse over X, we can see it now says number, even though we're in non-strict mode. At the current time of making this video, type checking has no effect in-game. So here we can see we're setting the incorrect type to X. And if we even in the X variable a custom vector-free module. So let's create a brand new module, and let's call this module vector-free. And let's create a new function for this module called new. And this function is going to take in 3 numbers. So it's going to take in the number. I'm going to do also going to do the same for our vector-free module. And because now this pet module, even though we've set up the types for the X, Y and Z perimeters of the new function, we have so the Z keys as numbers, and we now get a warning. But if you wanted to use non-strict, let's see how we could fix this problem using non-strict. So let's now first fix the vector-free table. So instead of having X, Y and Z equal to any type, let's set them to be a number type. To find this table is not compatible with this type, because this type requires a X, Y and Z key, which are numbers, and this table doesn't have an X, Y and Z key that are numbers. So one way to fix this problem would be to put a question mark next to number, and what this is going to do is going to allow X, Y and Z to be either nil or a number. So when we place a question mark next to the type, it's going to allow the value to be either nil or a number type. So now, because this table has the X, Y and Z as nil, which is allowed because we added question marks, it's going to allow X, Y and Z to either be a number, or it's also going to allow, because I don't want X to ever be equal to nil, so let's remove the question mark, and now X should never be able to be set to nil. And so now we have the same warning as before, because X, Y and Z can no longer be nil. So we must add X, Y and Z into this table when we set the vector-free variable. So inside of this table, I'm going to say X equals 0, Y equals 0, Z equals 0. And now the warning message has gone away. Another thing we could do is remove this altogether and set X, Y and Z directly in like this. And so now if we mouse over vector-free, we can see it says X is a type of number, Y is a type of number, and Z is a type of number. But even though our vector-free is now set up correctly, we still are able to set the X variable to a string. So I can just simply copy and paste this over here, because it's going to be the same as over there. And now to a number instead, we can see that the warning goes away. Watch type and a warning for the string on the X key. And if I set the ends is not defined, so if we mouse over this new thing, and now we can see that we are getting a warning for the string on the X key. And if I set the X key to a number instead, we can see that the warning goes away. Okay, so now that everything seems to be working fine, there's one last problem we must fix, and that is that the type that this function returns is not defined. So if we mouse over this new function, we can see that it returns a type of any. So we must set which type this function returns, because we have not used the strict mode. So the way we can see that this is a problem is, let's say I make a variable called s, and this variable is a string, and I'm going to equal to the new function. And we see that we don't get no error because it believes that this new function can return of any type, which could be a string. So in order to define the type of this new function, over here I'm going to place a colon and place in the type. And if we remember, this returns a vector3, which is a table with a x, y, and z numbers. So just like over there, I'm going to copy and paste this over here. And this is going to inform the type checker that this function is going to return a table with an x, y, and z keys that are numbers. And now if we go back to this script and make an update so it updates, now we can see that we get an error. And now if we mouse over the new function, we can see that unlike before where it used to say any, it now says it returns a table with the keys of x, y, and z which are equal to numbers. Okay, so now that we've defined what this function over here is going to return, let's now define the type of this function, which is going to be this pet, which is of this type. So let's copy and paste this over here. So now we can say that this function returns a type of a table with a position key, which is also a table with the keys of x, y, and z, which are numbers. So now that we've completed our two modules, let's slightly improve them. So one thing we can do is, here we can see we're using the same type over and over again. So what we can do is we can give this type a name and reference this type using its name. So at the top over here, I'm going to say type, and I can give it any name I like. So I'm going to call it my vector3 equals, and I'm going to have it equal to this type that we created. And now, instead of having to type this every time we want to use this type, we can just use it with its name, like so, and the same over here. Now, if we look over at our pet module, we can see that we're using the myVector3 type over here and over here. But how can we access this type from a different module? What we need to do is we need to export this type. So in order to what we need to do is this type over here, our vector3 type. At our pet module, we can see that we're using the myVector3 type over here and over here. But how can we access this type from a different module? What we need to do is we need to export this type. So in order to export it, all we need to do is say export type. And now we can access this type through the module. So over here, what I'm going to do is replace this with v3.myVector3. And I'm going to do the same over here, like so. So now we can access this type by using export over on this module, like so. And just like we created a type over here, it's probably best to create a pet type over here. So at the top over here, I'm going to say type, and I'm going to name this type pet equals, and it's going to be equal to this. And I'm going to reference this type with its name, like so. Okay, so now that we've finished these two modules, what I'm going to do is move these two modules to the side so they're not in the way. And now inside of our script, I'm going to require the pet module. So at the top, I'm going to say local pet equals require game.serverstorage.pet, and now I'm going to use the new function to create a pet. So I'm going to say local new pet equals pet.new, because we're not using strict, it's not going to infer that this is a pet object, and if we mouse over new pet, we can see it's of type any, which is not correct. We need to set the type of this pet. So just like we did here when we exported the vector3 type, we also need to export the pet type so that we can set this new pet to this pet type. So just like over here, I'm going to export the pet, and then I'm going to set this to the pet.pet type. And now if we mouse over new pet, we can see it says position with the X, Y, and Z coordinates. And now I can say new pet dot position, which is the same any axis, and set it to be a string. Warning mode. So let's change the mode of all our scripts to strict, and let me show you the differences. So because we're now using strict is going to be able to infer that this function returns a pet type, so we don't have to manually set the pet type. So I can remove this, and it doesn't say any, but still says the position with the X, Y, and Z coordinates. Another thing we don't need to do no more is we no longer need to export the pet, because the strict mode is going to be able to get the type even without exporting it. The next thing we no longer need to do is we no longer need to say what type this function returns, because in strict mode it's going to be able to infer that this is a pet type, and because we're returning the pet type, it's going to infer that this function returns a pet type. And the same is true over here, so we don't need to tell it that this function is going to return a vector3, because the strict mode is going to be able to infer that this function returns a vector3 type. And finally, in strict mode, we don't even have to create our types. So I can remove this, and I can just simply return the table instantly, like so, and the same over here. And return this table instantly like this. And now it's going to infer that these are numbers, and it's going to infer that this is this function, which knows that these are numbers. And finally, if we look over here, we go new pet dot, we can see that position is equal to these three numbers. If we go to